G'day guys, Jacob from the TryPod here, and I'm here to tell you that the first NRL pod of 2020 is just 1 week away. That's right, we're going to do a season preview pod, and then the week after that we'll be doing our weekly preview pods and our weekly recap pods. So you'll be getting 2 podcasts every week, Wednesday night, Sunday night, and this is actually our 6th season that we're going to be doing our pods. We've grown with number of viewers and followers and listeners every year, so we appreciate that. I thought, let's take this opportunity, let's look back for a second. If you're not familiar with what we do, we can explain what we've done the last 5 years. If you have followed us, then let's reminisce. There's some happy memories there. And then I want to talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing in 2020 and how you can follow. So a brief history of the pod, if you're wondering how it all began. It began just with Alex and I's love for betting. We've punted since I can remember, even before we were 18. We had probably irresponsible parents that would go to the tab and put a bet on for us. We've always been fascinated with betting. Alex is a former professional tennis player. He's also got a degree in economics. I had an engineering background, as well as both, being passionate in sport. I've done coaching and lecturing at universities, and we were killing it on the punt, to be completely honest. Back before we were kind of banned on any of the bookies, we were having a bit of a field day, and we're probably betting smaller amounts of money and staying under the radar. So in addition to the fact we were killing it, we were sharing a lot of tips with our mates, and our mates were really enjoying, getting a lot of tips and winning at a great rate. And a common question that they would ask us is, how did you pick that? Like, how did you pick that upset? You went against a team that most people would have thought would win. And that's where we kind of got the idea. What if we recorded our conversation to actually explain how we came up with our tips? And so we recorded it for a bit of fun, sent it to a few mates, and then kind of word got out amongst a few more mates. Oh, can you send me, a copy of that audio? It sounded good. And then we said, well, why don't we just put a link of it like on a little Facebook page? In 2015, we started a Facebook page with, a handful of likes, and literally just word of mouth grew from there. And over that time we've also copped more and more bans off bookies and been able to bet less and less of our own money, and that's only kind of fueled and motivated us more to share tips with the boys and share the ways that we've gone about breaking down games to make money and to find an edge against the bookies, because we knew that we could do it and we wanted to prove it, and we have over the last 5 years. So one thing that has remained pretty consistent over the last 5 years is the way that we've given out our best bets. We've always just given out our best bets as basically line or total bets. Any bet in a two-way market that would be considered essentially a 50-50 around the $1.90 odds. And that's not the only way that a professional bettor will make money. A bet can be value if it's $1.10, if it's going to win a lot more than 10 out of 11 times. It can be obviously great value if it's 10 to 1, but it's going to win better than once every 10 times. But just for simplicity, to keep it clear and easy for people to follow, we always made our best bets 50-50 line or total bets. So I had a little dig back into the archives, and when we originally started 2015, we kept a tally of best bets, wins and losses, and our win percentage, and then we just rolled that tally forward into 2016. So I don't have those 2 seasons broken up, but the cumulative record in our first 2 seasons of the NRL was 412 and 263, which was a 61% winning clip, and that was with best bets at an average winning price of $1.90. Over the years, the bookies have gotten a little bit smarter, and sometimes their pricing, and it's gotten a little bit harder to always achieve the $1.90 mark. But back then, it really was not hard at all. In fact, you could get plenty even in plus money. So in 2017, people said, as well as having an ongoing, total record of every best bet, can you break it down and show us how you're going just in this season? And I'm glad that people did ask us to do that, because 2017 was our dream season. We went 297, 153, 66% on best bets through an entire NRL season, a couple rep games and the NRL finals. In 2018, you can see we had a 60% season, which you might think is a pretty big drop off. The truth is, 2018 may have been every bit as good in terms of tipping as 2017. We made a conscious effort to share more tips than ever before, and if we were borderline on a game, we said, yeah, why not share the tip? Because while we could win at 66%, and a lot of people will judge us on our winning percentage, the truth is if you're getting above 53%, that's kind of your break-even point. So really, definitely anything a 55% win clip or above is making money. So we didn't want to be as selective and, you know, starve the boys of tips that might win closer to 60% or high 50s. So we included any tip that we could find, and a lot of, you know, correlated tips. If we liked a team to win the game, we took them first half as well. And we shared over 1,000 tips on a whole season and won at 60%, a record of 701, 477, which was another great season. And that brings us to last year, which was our first ever season publicly tipping. We didn't win over 60%. We hit 58%, going 384, 277. There's several reasons for that. I think it probably just wasn't our best season. We certainly felt like we lost a lot of close ones, but every punter feels that way about the losses. The truth is as well, it has gotten harder, and we've always openly acknowledged that. You know, over the last few years, we've had bookies like LuxBet that we used to feast on closed down. We've had William Hill gone, you know, Neds and Lads kind of merging. You're getting less and less options and opportunities to pick. The betting market is getting smarter. The bets we used to love to grab are getting snapped up. You know, there's probably people that have followed us over the years that actually know the kind of bets we've been winning on and that we look for. People might remember years ago we used to love to bet no try first 8 minutes on games with bad weather and low scoring games, and we didn't get any of those bets last year because you couldn't get them $1.90 anymore. So times have changed. I think seasons, you know, of over 60% winning are just almost going to be mythical, but still, with all the odds stacked against us, 58% season last year and an amazing record on multis as well, was still another great year for us. So how do we do it? That's a question that I get a lot, and if it was as easy as me being able to explain in a couple of minutes how you can win that number of bets over that many years at that success rate, I would. But the truth is there's honestly such a big array of factors that we do take into account in the way that we look at a game, and the things that we pick up from watching every game every week. And that's why we have a podcast. And the real strength of our podcast is that we're not secretive. We're not saying we're oracles and this is our tip and, you know, you should follow it because we're the best. We explain every game why we like a side. Another strength is probably just two heads are better than one. We often agree because we have similar approaches. We know what wins, but Alex and I can disagree from time to time. And if I strongly disagree with something Alex says, you know, we'll bet against each other. That's often the bigger bets we can get down these days is against each other. So if Alex is going to disagree with me a few times, the only way he's going to learn the right way is to lose a few bets to me. So, you know, that's something that we will have as a factor through this year. But yeah, every factor that we, you know, are considering to find value, we're sharing it in the podcast. And I truly believe, regardless of if you follow every tip, you follow a tip here and there, or we just keep you from betting against the sides that we like, you will learn. That is really what we hope and what we believe we offer to people who listen, that you will learn. It'll make you smarter about the game of rugby league because we love the game, but we look at it a different way, and it will make you as a smarter punter that doesn't just have to apply to rugby league either. Honestly, a lot of the principles that we talk about can be applied to any form of sports betting. Okay, so that's close to 10 minutes of me explaining what exactly we do and the results that we've proven that show that we are worthwhile following. And if you are interested in following us in 2020, there's a few different ways that you can get access to all of our content, all 100% free, of course. I mentioned at the start of this video that our first podcast will be next Wednesday, so 1 week's time. That's going to be a global NRL 2020 season preview at our usual time slot, which is going to be 7 p.m. Daylight Savings Time, 7 p.m. New South Wales, Victoria, 6 p.m. for Queenslanders on a Wednesday night, and that's going to be on the Rugby League Zero Fucks Given page, and that's with no C, just F-U-K-S, so it's not rude. We'll share that video here too. That is also going to be available as a podcast, so if you search TryPod NRL or anything like that in any podcast player, the Apple iTunes podcast player, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, you're going to find that. Now, for the last 3 years, we have recorded that live, so it's been a Facebook Live video, and then we've converted the audio and made that available as a podcast if you didn't want to look at our mugs. This year, it's actually not going to be live. It's going to be recorded an hour or two before the video goes up, and we really believe that's going to be better for you guys following. While it will restrict us in that we can't interact with live comments, At the same time, that might mean that we can make the pod slightly shorter and sharper. And if you're concerned about the best bets, which we used to share a lot of best bets live on the pod, we are now going to release those best bets live straight onto our app, even before the podcast has aired. So that's another thing that you're going to want to follow is the TryPod app, which is a free app available on an Android or Apple iStore. So you want that app, to get all our tips, and there's plenty of other tipsters in there, and it tracks all record for anybody tipping in the app. If you haven't got it yet, check it out. That's going to be your first port of call to get the best bets. If you followed us before, you will be aware that the odds and the lines that we find do not always stay available for a long period of time. Now, we're going to be doing our very best to tell you where the best odds are, where the second best odds are, try and make these bets as, so that as many of you that want to jump on them can jump on. But by pre-recording, the advantage that we're going to get you guys is reducing technical difficulties. If we've got any sound, if we've got any connection difficulties, which you guys would know we have struggled in the past, and with live videos, there's just gremlins that get in there. So by pre-recording, we're going to sharpen that up. Going to guarantee you that, at that time, 7 p.m, you're going to be in there for a 30 to 40 minute podcast every week. But if you don't want to watch it live because you want to do other things, I love podcasts because I can listen to a podcast while I'm driving, walking, doing the dishes. Like, I can passively listen to a podcast and still live my life. So I really suggest, if you're not even a podcast person, then get one of these podcasts app and give us a go that way. But if you want to watch the Facebook video and you want some little graphics, that's going to still be there for you, and we're still going to welcome comments, and we'll still be able to interact with you in the comments. And that, because we're not recording live anymore, our reaction video, which used to be Sunday within 5 minutes of the full time of the final game, that's now going to be a couple hours later. So you're looking at 9 p.m. Sunday night, daylight saving time, 8 p.m. in Queensland. I know that is a little bit later, but that also means the audio can be available a bit quicker, and that's typically just like a 15-minute podcast. That is our reaction to the games. We really want to make an effort to help you guys that don't get the opportunity to watch all 8 games every week, because we do. We're not going to talk about the obvious. We're not going to just talk about the headlines and the score lines. We're going to talk to you about things that we picked up, smaller things, little niches that we've found where we can take an advantage. So I think that's a great listen, especially if you get a chance to listen Sunday night or Monday morning before you go to work and chat with everyone about the weekend's footy. You're going to get some hopefully really valuable insights from us on our recap pod on a Sunday night. Where else? You can always interact with us in our group. So that is the TryPod Punters Tips Forum. That's a Facebook group, and that's just great for interaction and, again, sharing with other people who are keen to share tips and their reasoning. We've got a website, trypodbetting.com.au. That's probably the main areas. I may be missing 1 or 2 small things, but that's pretty much, those are the bases that you'd have covered if you're interested in following what we do. And as I said before, following the pod does not mean you have to have your money on every single tip. You might not want to bet against your team. You might not want to bet games that you're not watching. But regardless, it's up to you, like how little or how much you follow. We don't mind, but we do appreciate your following and your support. We are going to work as hard as ever, I can promise that, because our record means everything to us, and we know you guys put real money on our tips, and we want to do our very best for you guys. So we're going to be knuckling down for a massive 2020, and appreciate your support, and we're looking forward to it. Lego!